Gege Akutami had introduced the world of Jujutsu to us with a spin-off story that portrayed Yuta Okatsu as a protagonist. Because of its success and interesting setup, fans wanted the mangaka to create a serialized series based on Jujutsu, leading to Akutami creating Jujutsu Kaizen with Yuji Itadori as the protagonist. On December 2021, the film known as Jujutsu Kaisen 0 introduced many viewers to the prequel centered around Yuta and, by extension, the curse of Rika Orimoto that was attached to him. Despite being an absolute novice when it came to Jujutsu and sorcery, Yuta started his journey as one of the strongest sorcerers ever because of how incredibly powerful Rika's curse was. Although the story of the two started with them being childhood lovers, the Rika who stuck by Yuta's side in the film was far from being the sweet girl he used to make sandcastles with. She's the reason he's cursed with death. Jujutsu Kaisen 0 and Rika's introduction. Jujutsu Kaisen 0 begins with a gruesome scene depicting school violence, with Yuta appearing as the victim. While the boys try to intimidate Yuta as they get close to him, he fearfully asks them to stay away. At face value, it looks like Yuta is afraid of them. In reality, he asks them to back off because he is afraid for them. As the bully does not comply with Yuta's wishes, Yuta calls out a woman named Rika-chan, confusing the bully in front of him. However, the bully is soon attacked by something as two monstrous hands appear from behind Yuta and snatch the bully away by grabbing his mouth. It is evident that the bullies are being presented as the bullied, while Yuta is considered to be the bully instead. Soon, we get to see that, in reality, the boys were not just injured, they were killed. While Yuta sits in his classroom and keeps apologizing, blood oozes out from the nearby cupboard, which opens to show us the face of a grotesque-looking curse. The next scene brings Yuta to the very room where Itadori had been after the latter consumed one of Sukuna's fingers. Yuta sits in the middle with Gojo Saruro and some of the higher-ups in the Jujutsu world as his audience, although we cannot see anyone other than Yuta and Gojo. The higher-ups ask for Yuta to be killed because of the threat he poses. It's mentioned how he's already turned the tables on 2 Grade 2 and 1 Grade 1 sorcerer in combat, alluding to the fact that the Jujutsu sorcerers had been sent after Yuta, courtesy of the super powerful curse named Rika that haunts him. Gojo does not want to kill Yuta, the same way he did not want to get Itadori killed. The Jujutsu world has no choice but to comply with Gojo, who is the only sorcerer who can kill Yuta at this point. Instead, he wants Yuta to be a part of Jujutsu High in Tokyo, where he can learn how to use the immense power of his curse. Gojo whips out a twisted knife which has been tied into a knot. When he asks Yuta how a simple knife was tied into a knot with itself, Yuta mentions how he tried to take his own life. However, Rika interfered to prevent him from doing so, resulting in the present condition of the knife. From the very beginning, the film makes it clear that although Rika is a vengeful curse, it does what it does to protect Yuta, and Yuta does not like the threat Rita's curse poses to others. When given the opportunity to join Jujutsu High School, Yuta does not want to take it because he doesn't want to hurt others. He seems to have isolated himself from his family for that very reason, but he is convinced after Gojo tells him how this very curse that has been placed upon him can be used to help people. He is eventually convinced after Gojo tells him how this very curse that has been placed upon him can be used to help people. Yuta can do it if he learns to use this power, but he can only learn to do so in Jujutsu High. As Yuta begins to attend the new school, he has perhaps the worst introduction possible to his batchmates Panda, Maki Zenin, and Toge Inumaki. The moment he steps into the room, everyone can feel the dark wrath of Rika's curse that is latched onto Yuta, prompting them to stand on guard and almost attack. Rika gets ready to strike back, but the situation is settled soon as everyone is made aware of the conditions at hand. Soon, we see one of Yuta's flashbacks where, in his childhood, he is shown playing in a park with a pretty girl of his age named Rika. The two seem to be childhood lovers, as Rika brings out a ring which Yuta considers to be an engagement ring. Just then, she intertwines her pinky finger with Yuta's, creating the gesture of a promise as the two promise one another to get married once they are grown. The innocent love of the two does not last long, as Rika gets run over by a car and the tragedy takes place right in front of Yuta's very eyes. The streets run with her blood as she loses her life, and Yuta is mortified over what has happened. He looks at Rika's palm, which sports the engagement ring on her ring finger. Soon, Yuta hears a voice calling out to him. As he looks down, two hands grab his legs, and a monstrous being comes out of the blood, claiming that it will marry Yuta after they grow up because they have made a promise to do so. Because Yuta did not know anything about the world of curses in Jujutsu at this time, he had no idea that Rika manifested as a curse because of the promise that wasn't kept. Naturally, he lived most of his life in the dark until he met Gojo Satoru. A childhood love and the death of a curse. How Rika became a vengeful cursed spirit. Now a vengeful spirit, Rika is overly dedicated to protecting Yuta from anyone she considers to be a threat. People who try to bully him, people who try to attack him, and girls are the top 3 threat levels on Rika's radar. With Yuta having little control over her, he doesn't know what he can do to stop her, although he tries his best to communicate with her. Being reborn as a curse also gives Rika curse-like instincts, making her aggressive and, in a way, malevolent to others. You can say that Rika manifesting as a curse and latching onto Yuta ends up cursing the latter's life in a very realistic sense of the word. Occasionally, she will listen to Yuta and restrain herself, like the time when he was attacked by Maki's sword following Yuta's introduction in Jujutsu High. However, Rika's past life, prior to her falling in love with Yuta, was shady to say the least. When she was 5, she lost her mother due to mysterious reasons. She went on a mountain climbing trip with her father 2 days before the first day of elementary school. However, the two of them got lost, and a week later, only Rika was found by a shelter at the summit. Rika was rescued and taken to the hospital, where she met a pneumonia-stricken Yuta for the very first time. She was later taken in by her paternal grandmother, who believed that Rika was responsible for killing her parents. The girl eventually went on to form a special friendship with Yuta and stole her mother's engagement ring from her grandmother's dresser, later showing it off to Yuta as she made the promise about their marriage in the future. With such mystery shrouding her past, an innocent love and a childhood promise begins to look a lot more sinister. And it's not like curses are 100% cold and evil, because the cursed womb brothers, Kichizo and Eso from the last arc of the Jujutsu Kaizen anime, are also shown to deeply care for one another. Although being a curse does make one more aggressive than normal, Rika's curse becoming abnormally vengeful and brutal alludes to Rika having been a worse person than we would normally imagine. To understand curses better, we have to understand why and how they manifest. Curses are a result of intense malevolent feelings in humans, which is the reason behind Tokyo being home to an exponentially higher number of curses compared to other places in Japan, considering how Tokyo is the densely populated capital city of the country. Negative human feelings is a broad term that encompasses traits like envy, hatred, jealousy, resentment, regret, and the like. But Gojo Satoru has theorized that love can be more malevolent than hatred, considering how people can commit some of the most heinous acts of violence out of love. After Rika had her skull crushed by the vehicle right in front of Yuta's eyes, he was absolutely reluctant to accept her death. And, fun fact, he's the descendant of Sugawara no Michizane, who was one of the 3 legendary vengeful spirits of Japan, giving Yuta access to cursed energy due to his lineage. Because he rejected Rika's death due to his love for her, he unconsciously put a curse on her to let her stay in the world of the living instead of allowing her soul to pass on to the afterlife. The promise made by the two of them was an important deciding factor, tying Rika to the physical world as strongly as it could to the engagement ring Yuta now kept with him at all times. To protect her love, she became the Queen of Curses, the power of Rika. As a curse, Rika lets go of her beautiful brown hair, cute face, and a beauty mark that added to her charm. Instead, she has a ghastly white face that is made worse by her having a single cyclops eye. Tendrils pop out of her head while her mouth has been graced, or rather disgraced, with rows of thin, long, sharp teeth. When the curse has been manifested completely, she has a muscular upper body and a shadow-like lower body that resembles a tail. In terms of power, she is a special grade curse, turning Yuta into a special grade sorcerer from the very beginning. In the Jujutsu world, a sorcerer or a curse starts off from grade 3, gradually attaining a higher grade as they get stronger. During the events of JJK0, the world had 16 special grade curses and 4 special grade sorcerers, namely Gojo Satoru, Geto Suguru, Yuki Tsukumu, and of course, Yuta Okotsu. Geto Suguru acts as the primary antagonist of the film and is one of the main antagonists in Jujutsu Kaizen as a whole. He detests non-sorcerers and refers to them as monkeys, alluding to how he believes regular humans to be less evolved compared to sorcerers. He takes into consideration how humans, despite being on top of the food chain, feel the need to worship the higher power they refer to as God. According to Geto, they can just worship Jujutsu sorcerers instead because of the latter's superiority over them. The reason why Geto is so formidable is his extremely rare technique of cursed spirit manipulation. It allows him to summon and control cursed spirits with as much much ease as the Zenins do with their Shikigamis. Geto spends his time pretending to be a Buddhist monk, drawing in regular humans who have been cursed. He gets rid of the curse by amassing the spirits of the cursed humans, making it seem like he's an expert monk at cleansing. This leads to him drawing in more and more people, giving him the opportunity to bag more and more curses to control and aid him in battle. Although he has over 4,460 curses in his arsenal, including special grade ones, Rika's presence acts as a game changer for Geto, who feels the desperate need to add to his roster. With powers like hers, he can easily cleanse the world of regular humans. Geto visits the Jujutsu High in Tokyo uninvited, where he professes his sentiments and desires to all present, offering Yuta to join his side. He also goes on to insult Maki because of her inability to see curses or use cursed energy, despite hailing from one of the most renowned families of sorcerers. This ticks off Yuta, who denies Geto's request as he claims that he will never side with someone who insults his friends. Before his departure, Geto reveals that he had visited them to declare war, as he plans to commence his night parade of 100 demons, where he will unleash his curses across different places in Japan, most notably Kyoto and Shinjuku. He will also be aided by the sorcerers who side with him, and together they will slaughter every non-sorcerer in the country. On the D-Day, the sorcerers gather to bring an end to the threat and exorcise Geto. For Yuta's safety, he is concealed in Jujutsu High and kept away from the battlefield. However, he's visited by Geto in the school, who claims that the night parade of 100 demons is a farce used by him to single Yuta out. Geto had sent the Kenyan Jujutsu sorcerer Miguel to the battlefield. He possessed the black rope that disturbs Gojo's cursed energy. This essentially prevents Gojo from deserting the battle, leaving an isolated Yuta at Geto's mercy. The villain goes on to refer to Rika as the Queen of Curses due to her immense powers, making her extremely desirable to Geto. Yuta's friends, Maki, Panda, and Unumaki, are sent back to Jujutsu High by Gojo, who has seen through Geto's plan, and they attack him at once, only for them to be incapacitated quickly. This eventually leads to a final showdown between Yuta and Geto. By this time, Yuta has trained enough to have his own fighting chops. He's learned swordsmanship from Maki and can hold his own better than he could at the start of the movie, but his true destructive potential lies in the manifestation of the unmatched Rika. Even as a partial manifestation of herself, Rika gives Yuta the absolutely broken ability to copy cursed techniques. During his battle with Geto, Yuta summons a megaphone with the fang markings of the Inumaki clan that allows them to use a cursed speech. However, cursed speech is a bloodline restricted ability, which is specific to Unumaki's clan only. Yuta is able to use Rika's immense cursed knowledge to summon and use his own version of cursed speech, which somehow is on par with Inumaki's on the very first use. But the true terror and the reason behind Geto's lust for Rika can only be understood when she properly manifests. When fully manifested, she's considered to be a great threat to some of the strongest Jujutsu sorcerers. To unleash this power, Yuta had to wholeheartedly trust their connection, allowing Rika to show off what she has to offer and outdo everything in Geto's arsenal. In Yuta's battle with Geto, the former is aided by Rika, who uses her cursed energy to amplify Yuta's strength and speed. Because of limitations, Yuta can only use some of her cursed energy at a time, but he uses his own swordsmanship to stand tall against Geto's special grade cursed three-quarter staff known as Playful Cloud, which Maki had described as a disgusting weapon to use in the inter-school tournament in the Jujutsu Kaizen anime. As Geto releases his other cursed spirits on the duo, it takes Rika little to no effort to take them down. Finally, Geto unleashes his special grade cursed spirit of the Tamamo no Me incarnate and combines the energy of every other spirit to take down Yuta with one strike. This attack, known as the Cursed Spirit Manipulation Supreme Art Uzumaki, is essentially a maelstrom of cursed spirits and energy, and forces Yuta to break the limits on the amount of cursed energy he acquires from Rika. He reminisces on his past memories with Rika, with the two meeting each other at the hospital or playing at the park, and ponders about their promise of being with one another together forever. Having spent his days trying to contain Rika and keeping her at a distance, he finally gets closer to her and thanks her for always protecting and loving him. In a way, he finally accepts her as he asks her to lend him her power for one last time. He offers his future, his body, his heart, and his everything to Rika and confesses his love, hoping to be together until their deaths. In the end, he asks her if she wants to die together with him, and Rika gleefully accepts, as she tells him how she loves him so very much. With Yuta sacrificing himself to break the limit of Rika's cursed energy, they use their power born of pure love to create an attack low-key similar to Gojo's Hollow Purple in terms of appearance and condensation. The attack overpowers Geto's Uzumaki, leaving destruction in its wake and a fatally injured Geto, who is now even more desperate to to get Rika, considering how powerful her curse truly is. He exclaims how if he has Rika, he will never need the power of another curse. Fortunately, Yuta survives the battle, but having broken the limitations results in Rika finally being uncursed. Yuta is welcomed once again by his friends in Jujutsu High as he regains consciousness and witnesses the younger, human form of Rika. Soon, Gojo Satoru comes in to explain the ordeal with Yuta being the descendant of a vengeful curse and him putting a curse on Rika. Because his love was so strong, Rika was ridiculously powerful as a cursed spirit. In fact, they used to believe that Rika had placed the curse on him because of her love and the promise, but in reality, it was the other way around due to Yuta's lineage. Yuta gets a flashback of the day of the accident once again, where we get to see his monologue of him rejecting Rika's death. He exclaims how he has to save her and how she cannot die, which triggers the curse while he continues to be oblivious to the true nature of his actions. Gojo tells him how Yuta has finally rejected the bond after having placed it. As a result, unless Rika wants him to pay a penalty, their connection is completely broken. This also means that Rika can finally pass on. Yuta begins to cry for putting her in that form and resulting in the deaths of so many. However, Rika thanks him for letting her stay by his side longer and claims to have been happier for the past 6 years she spent as a curse with him than she was before. Ultimately, she disappears as she moves on to the afterlife. On the bright side, Yuta doesn't have to leave the Jujutsu world because he is the one with the ability to use cursed energy. She might be at peace now, but is she gone? Will we see Rika in Season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen? Now that Yuta can be a sorcerer despite not having Rika anymore, he's sent to Kenya by Gojo to train with Miguel. This does not mean that Rika is gone forever, though. We get to see this play out after the infamous Shibuya arc, where Rika appears in a way we have not known before. Previously, she was a sentient cursed spirit with endless cursed energy, which Yuta could tap into at will. Following the departure of her soul, she left her vessel with Yuta and became his cursed technique that allowed him to use the vessel as a sentient storage. So yes, unless Mappa decides to drag out the episodes of the second season like they're doing with Attack on Titan, there's a high chance we will see Rika in the upcoming season, but maybe not in the same way we've seen her before. Marvelous verdict. Several stories across anime and fiction in general have played with the concept of intense love breeding violence, such as the Uchihas from Naruto going above and beyond due to their love. Although they were shown to play a more villainous role, they did it for the ones they loved and eventually lost. Harley Quinn eventually gave up on her life as a psychiatrist to become a criminal because she fell so deeply in love with the Joker. Yuta and Rika's relationship follows the same basic principle, as they're promised to marry each other, and Yuta's undying love for Rika turns her into the Queen of Curses. And with that, today's video comes to an end. What did you think about Rika Orimoto? Did you enjoy today's video? If so, then don't forget to like and comment down below. Until the next one, thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.